Amigos, your relationship needs support. And when I think back to the beginning years of my marriage, where my husband and I were having the most amount of arguments and the least amount of sex, we needed help overcoming the number one issue in our relationship. And to do that, we needed to do something radically different than what we were already trying. You see, even dramatically different than what the generations before us were doing. And that support came in the form of marriage therapy. Marriage therapy was the game changer for my relationship. It allowed my partner and I to finally take a step back and have somebody else walk us through what was actually going on. And eventually we realized that most of the issues that we had with each other had actually nothing to do with the other person, but more so to do with our own unhealed trauma and our own things that we hadn't taken the time to process, but somehow was still showing up in our marriage. And that's why I love BetterHelp. You see, BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you can tap into a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a large range of issues. To get started, you just have to answer a couple of questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you can talk to your therapist however way you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or even a video call. You can even message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can totally switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from an in-office therapy, but with a therapist that is custom picked just for you. More scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price. Get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp by going to my link, betterhelp.com/Karina F. Daves. That's BetterHelp, BETTER, help.com/Karina, F as in Frank, Daves. The link to this coupon is right here in my show notes. Amigos, at this point, you've tried it all in your relationship and nothing is working. You don't have anything to lose by asking for the support you know you need in the form of therapy. And what a better way to do that than with BetterHelp. Coming up on the Relationships You Understand podcast.
Plenty of people don't stay in relationships just for the kids. They actually stay for family, right? Like their family or the partner's family. People also, I want you to think about friends, coworkers, stepkids, your kids. It's people, okay? People stay in relationships longer than they should, or people decide to stay in relationships simply because of the people.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Karina F. Daves, relationship coach and speaker, where I help women stop arguing with their partners so that they can have more sex. Because who doesn't want to have more sex? One of the biggest things that women struggle with is a lack of satisfaction in their relationship. It's our best kept secret, and I know this because it used to be me. You see, I was a checklist human obsessed with the many achievements we're pressed to accomplish. Getting degrees, getting married, having children, buying a home. And after all it was achieved, I still felt empty inside. And so I looked to my partner to fulfill me. And this is when the arguing started in my marriage. It wasn't until I stopped blaming my marriage and finally decided to take a deeper look into myself, to work on my own need for control, my perfectionism, and to work on my own unhealed trauma, that I realized in order for my marriage to be better, it required a better me. Join me each week where I will be your personal relationship expert, coaching you through unpacking and processing your identity, values, and standards to resolve the number one conflict in your relationship, because a better relationship begins with a better you. Whether you're deep in your marriage or on the road to one, I will help you reflect on who you are, both in your partnership and outside of it. I know so many of us are struggling with this in such a private way, but believe me, a better relationship is possible, but it also starts with you. Are you willing to do the work? Welcome to Relationships You Understand? If you're loving this podcast and enjoying the juicy relationship gems, then head over to follow me on my socials at Karina F. Daves on Instagram and TikTok. Head over to my website, karinafdaves.com, and subscribe to my newsletter, Release Your Relationship, where I share weekly relationship advice on how to overcome the number one issue in your relationship. If you're really enjoying this podcast, don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts or even Spotify. Subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode and share it with all of your amigos. Reviews are such a personal way to hear your voice and interact with our community. Thanks so much for listening. And now, the Relationships You Understand podcast.
Amigos, ¿cómo están? Welcome back to Relationships You Understand with your host, me, Karina F. Days, relationship expert, speaker, and podcast host of this dope podcast. It is early, y'all. If you are up and listening to this episode being recorded live on Instagram, to God be the glory. And thank you for not just joining us, but thank God that you have the tenacity to be up this morning. So I just want to say hi to everybody and thank you so much for coming back for another week. As always, I promise that my episodes are short and quick and to the point. Wow, all the way from England. That's crazy. Insight to Marketing. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm actually getting ready to leave to Bangkok today. My flight is at 10. It is 5:30 in the morning Eastern. And I know you think I'm crazy, but can I just talk about the airport really quick, specifically Newark Airport when you fly out of United? And I have Premier Access. I fly often for work. I also have TSA and Clear. And so it doesn't really matter to me. I've been there. I've been at the airport an hour before my flight leaves. It's fine. It's going to be fine. So I plan on being at the airport if you want to follow me on my stories, as I have a 10-hour layover in Japan, which I am so freaking excited about. And then I head to Bangkok. So I'll leave today at 10 and I'll arrive at Bangkok at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. Hi from Chicago here. I can't pronounce that. Diavone 4550. Thank you for being here. Good morning. Tiwa Fab from London, England. Hey, ¿cómo están? All right. Good morning from Grand Rapids, Michigan. What? I've never been to Michigan. Not that Colorado has anything to do with Michigan. I don't know why Colorado sticks to my mind, but I have been to Colorado and the air is so crisp there. Let me know. Send me a DM of why I should come to Michigan. I would love to visit with my family. Okay. So let's talk about why you stay. This is our series, Why You Stay, part 2. Part 1 was focused on time. So this is a 4-part series on me as a relationship expert, breaking down the top reasons why people remain in relationships and they shouldn't. So I'm going to walk you through that. So last week's episode, I focused on time. And this has a lot to do with people remaining in relationships because they feel like they don't want to start over and they've invested so much time. Good morning from Toronto, Canada. I love Canada, by the way. So today we're going to focus on why you stay, and it's people. Originally, this episode was called Kids, but it has a lot more to do than kids. It's about people. And I've worked with several clients that are trying to make a decision on whether or not to stay in the relationship, and they're basing it off of the people. Okay. So when you think about the people, I don't just want you to focus on the kids. Plenty of people don't stay in relationships just for the kids. They actually stay for family, right? Like their family or the partner's family. People also, I want you to think about friends, coworkers, stepkids, your kids. It's people. Okay. People stay in relationships longer than they should, or people decide to stay in relationships simply because of the people. Now, when you are staying in this relationship for the kids, for, the family, for, you're worried about what your coworkers may think, this is what you are focused on. And I want you to realize it. Number one, you are worried about your reputation. Now, whether that reputation is because of what people may think of you, what your coworkers may think of you, what your friends may think of you, that's one part of it. The second is you're worried about your reputation with your kids, right? You're worried that they may think that you're a bad parent, that you're a bad mom, that you're a bad dad, that you're not committed. You're worried about what story will this decision of leaving the relationship, what story will it tell to these people many years down the line. That's one, you're worried about your reputation. Number two, you're worried about the environment. And what I mean by that is you are worried about shifting or shaking the environment. When you think about the kids, you think about the fact that they have a very stable environment. So for you, in your mind, you don't want to rock the boat. You would much rather remain upset, frustrated, resentful in this relationship just to give them a quote unquote just to give them a quote unquote healthy environment. But let me just remind you that what you think you're giving them is a healthy environment. What you think that you're giving them is a healthy environment, but instead you're giving them a tainted view of what love is. You think by remaining together for the kids, for the family, for your friends, all of that, you are depicting a healthy environment. But you need to understand that you are doing the complete opposite and tainting for them the version of healthy love. And this is exactly how things get passed down from generation to generation. And you are at the center core of it. You understand me? The last thing that you are worried about when you're thinking, we need to stay together for the kids, we need to stay together because of my family, what will my friends think, all of the things, you are worried about the future, right? And when I say that, I touched a little bit about it on part one, which is that you are worried about not only what future story this will tell, but you are also concerned that you will pull out too fast. And because you've pulled out too fast from this relationship, you won't give it enough time to morph into the future potential that you do see in this relationship. Like you're only holding on to this relationship for the future potential of it rather than looking at its current patterns. You understand? I always say this, people don't change for you. Your partner isn't going to change because they fear that you will leave them. And if they do, it's not sustainable and it's only temporary. People make permanent change out of selfish reasons because they can clearly see what benefits this change has for them in their lives. They are not simply just going to change for you. So you holding on to the future potential of this relationship, wanting to force a certain narration or a certain story of this relationship for it to tell is not healthy for you. You are forcing this relationship to be something that it's either not ready to become, or you are forcing this relationship to become something that it's not meant to become. It's that deep. You understand me? As promised, all these episodes are short. And so this is what I'll share. When you are making a decision to remain in the relationship for the people, the kids, the coworkers, the friends, the family, I want you to understand is that what you are missing is a plan. Now, hear me out. What you are missing is a plan that doesn't come from a place of fear. The reason why it's difficult for you to come up with a plan and not see that all of these things, your reputation, your environment, and the future are all actually solvable. They just need a plan. And you have every single resource or tool around you to create that plan. But you cannot create that plan from fear. You cannot create that plan from the 3 R's that I teach my clients, which is I don't want you to ever leave a relationship in a rush with resentment. Okay. In a rush, the only time that I think that you should leave in a rush is obviously if it was dangerous. Okay. And there was any type of violence involved. But you should not leave a relationship in a rush with any type of resentment or in any type of rage or anger. You understand me? So because all of these three things are happening, it's very difficult for you to create any type of plan. But I'm here to remind you that having a plan for these types of things that allow you to remain in the relationship for the people will allow you to believe that it's solvable. All of this is solvable. You just need a plan. That's it. It's very simple. You just need a plan. Okay. Hola, amiga. Here's the thing.
You've mastered everything else in your life but your relationship. You and your partner are not as intimate as you used to be. You are both stuck in this awful cycle of arguing that starts with bickering and ends with your routine blowups every few months. Every single time that you bring up an issue looking to resolve it, they feel like you're complaining, and then you begin to distance yourself. You feel like you're living with a roommate rather than your life partner. Your relationship, amiga, needs comprehension. Comprehension allows you and your partner to forgive each other quicker. Comprehension allows you and your partner to prioritize each other again. Comprehension is the very thing that will allow you both to give each other the space you need during those blowups. It stops the cycle of arguing. In my private one-on-one coaching program, I help women just like you come up with the exact communication strategies to begin to comprehend their partners and have their partners comprehend them. I will tell you the issues about your relationship that will take your couples therapist 6 months to tell you in just the very first session. It only takes one person in the relationship to do the work for there to be any progress. Either way, you will grow, and that is what is important. Through a mixture of one-on-one coaching, relationship framework, and plenty of aha moments, you'll finally be able to understand your triggers more deeply and decrease the time you spend arguing with your partner. You'll become more of an active listener versus being offended all the time. I want to help you stop arguing on the way to date night and actually have energy for post-date night activities, if you know what I mean. I'm on a mission to show women like you how to talk to their partners in a way that moves the needle for your relationship rather than leaving you stuck in this toxic cycle of arguing. I know many of us are struggling with this in such a private way, but believe me, a better relationship is possible, but it begins with you. So let's work together. I want to help you. Go to the link in the podcast notes to book a sales call where we'll talk about everything that's happened so far, what you've tried, and how I can help. I can't wait to work with you to get you and your partner to stop arguing and have more sex. I can't wait to meet you.
So when it comes to your reputation, I want you to think to yourself, okay, I'm worried about what my kids will think of me. Well, if you're worried about what your kids will think of you, why don't you talk to them about that? I know that, let's say that they're 2 or 4, then that means that you talking to them is you just showing them love and knowing that you'll have that conversation at another time. All of this is solvable. Okay. You have every single right and dominion over you in order to be able to solve for all of this. If you're worried about their environment, I had a client that I was working with that was only with his wife at a certain point towards the end, for the kids. He was worried about the environment of possibly losing their house, having to sell, and their kids needing to move. And then I was like, well, how would you solve for that? And he was like, well, I would just ensure that their new place had this, this, and this, which are the 3 things that they like because they're barely home. And I was like, yeah, it's solvable. You just haven't sat with yourself enough to answer those questions. You understand me? Okay, listen. If this is you and you are remaining in this relationship for the reason of the kids or time, money, which is next week's episode, I want you to work with me. You need to work with me, and any of this resonated with you. We are going to come up with the exact strategies it's going to take for not only you to make this decision about what to do and for you to feel good about it, but for also you and your partner to become aligned. I'm going to literally walk you through how to talk to your partner. I want you to book a sales call with me in the link in my bio, even if you have a stoic partner. Okay. And what I mean by that is that sometimes we feel like we can't leave a situation or have conversations with our partners because they don't respond. They just say, okay, I'm going to teach you how to get through to that. All that has to do with is just not feeling safe, not feeling like whatever I say to you is going to matter anyway. So why say it? Okay. I'm going to teach you how to create that safe space and actually hear your partner out and understand where they're coming from. All right. So listen, if this is something you're struggling with, I want you to book a sales call in the link in my bio. Let's pray because I got to catch a flight. That's crazy, right? All right. Father God, I thank you so much for this day. I thank you so much, Lord, that you led me to read Revelations yesterday and today. Revelations and Exodus in the Bible are usually the scariest parts for me. And a couple years ago, you asked me to study the enemy. And I was extremely resistant to it. But I now realize that studying the enemy and also knowing ways that we as human that live in our flesh can be destructive is actually constructive to my growth. And so I thank you, Lord, for allowing the Bible to not only being a tool that I can use to build my life, but a tool that I can use that I feel safe going to, reminding me that while I am broken, I can be saved over and over again. And so for anybody listening right now that is struggling with where they are in their lives and their relationship, I want you to tell them and help them understand that even though that they feel broken, they can be saved over and over and over again. And you know what? There's a part in Revelations. Hold on. Here's my Bible. There's a part in Revelations where I actually told Terrence about this yesterday. That says, it's Revelations 2:9. It's the letter to the church of Ephesus. I hope I pronounced that right. And the verse says, do not fear what you are about to suffer. This is actually timely. Thank you, Lord, for this word. Do not fear for what you are about to suffer. Behold, the devil is about to throw some of you into prison, that you may be tested, and for 10 days you will have tribulation. Be faithful until death, and I will give you the crown of life. He who has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. The one who conquers will not be hurt by the second death. And it just reminded me that we die several times spiritually, right? Because some of the spirits that we hold on to, spirit of fear, spirit of anxiety, are not healthy for us. And so this verse reminded me that the one who conquers will not be hurt by the second death. And the second is like multiple, the second, the third, the fourth, right? And so there are many deaths that you are going to go through that feel painful, that feel like I'm being renewed and reborn again, right? And that is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. Okay, I got to go finish packing because I didn't finish packing. I am the most organized person you will ever meet. I tell that to my team, and now I tell it to my community. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of Relationships You Understand. My name is Karina F. Days. I'm a relationship expert, speaker, and podcast host of This Dope Podcast. If any of this resonated with you and you want to work with me, I want you to go to the link in my bio, go to my website, karinafdaves.com, sign up for my email newsletter, Release Your Relationship, and subscribe and share this podcast, Relationships You Understand, with all of your amigos. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode. It means the world to me. And I rarely ask for prayer requests, but would you just pray for me and pray that I not only am kept safe during my travels, but that my family is kept safe while I am away. I can't begin to tell you how heavy the burden of mom guilt is that lies within me, and how much I have to regulate and self-coach myself and know that I am married to an amazing man and have an amazing partner. And it's not that I don't trust him. It's just that I feel bad that my presence isn't here with them. I love my family so much. And I thank God that he gave them to me. They're such a gift. And so are yours. Even if you're annoyed with them, even if you're mad at them, your family is such a gift. Okay, I love you. Bye.
If you're loving this podcast and enjoying the juicy relationship gems, then head over to follow me on my socials at Karina F. Daves on Instagram and TikTok. Head over to my website, Karina F. Daves, and subscribe to my newsletter, Release Your Relationship, where I share weekly relationship advice on how to overcome the #1 relationship issue. If you're really enjoying this podcast, don't forget to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode, and share it with all of your amigos. Reviews are such a personal way to hear your voice and interact with our community. Thanks so much for listening to the show, and can't wait to have you back again. I love you so much.